General Protocol Spaces. Banking on Freedom.
Welcome to General Bull 16 of N with the famous cat, Cheap Lightning, and his big Costco hot dogs. I think we're mostly just going to chat about whatever comes up and kind of do a cover of last year, what happened during the year, welcome the new year, 2024, and talk about what's in store for Bitcoin Cash, for General Protocols, for the Bitcoin Cash Foundation, which Cheap Lightning is operating. See where everything's going to go, where it's come from, and where we're going, and just have a good time talking. So let's get started. How many big Costco hot dog stickers do you have now, Cheap Lightning?
Stickers? It's in the thousands. I'm not sure.
Oh my God.
uh,
Yeah, we were at Costco one day, and all of a sudden he's like, "Let me take a picture." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Hold your hot dog up.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was confused. No, the actual like Telegram sticker pack. I don't know. It's not that many. I thought you meant like actual BCH stickers.
Well, if we count AI now, right,
Well,
which you've been getting pretty deep into, it's probably in the hundreds or thousands now.
yeah, the group stickers are probably like, I don't know, 20 or 30 or something. But as far as AI images and stuff, BCH images, memes, my folder is probably in the thousands, but a lot of it's stuff that I'm going through and whittling down to nothing, and will eventually just post the cream of the crop. But yeah, basically, I made a backup of all of the major BCH Telegram groups, and then I just ripped all the images out of all of them, and then have just been chopping down all of the fluff. But there's been some discoveries of ancient memes which are still relevant, which are good, which are long forgotten. So it'll be nice to see them resurface again.
It's cyclical. They will eventually see their time again.
Yes, yes.
Bring back the memes.
Right. Classic memes.
Open the crypt. Bring out.
Well, that's one thing that many people have been saying is like where do I find the meme that has the Darth Vader or whatever, and then you have to go on this hunt to try and find this ancient meme, and it'll be nice to have them all in one location. I have a particular URL in mind, but that'll just redirect to a gallery on the BCHF website, which just will be memes. Yeah, that's another little piece of the puzzle of things that I'm doing, which is not as significant as making a chip for an adaptive block size algorithm, but it's still I'd like to think has some value.
It's honest work.
It's honest work.
I think you just set that one up, right? That was totally intentional. No, it really is, and
Yeah.
I think it's one of those great things. The article that you published recently, which we should put, if somebody could put that in the chat, I would appreciate it. The Cheap Lightning recently posted an article about, what can I do? Because there's the famous old meme, which is really, really tired now, but it's still very powerful. Not as a joke, but as a real like social meme. What can the devs do something, right? This idea that devs are somehow in control of Bitcoin, which is ridiculous. And that article you posted was really great because it's like, okay, who are you? It doesn't matter who you are. Unless you're a vegetable, you have some level of skills and ability and time and resources. So here's what you can do. I love that. And you're such a great example of it, right? Not a developer and doing really important things.
Yeah, but what that all sounds great, but what if I want to just sit there and complain and complain all day in Telegram as a 9 to 5 job, right?
Well,
Maybe that's my purpose, right?
Right. I think some people really think that, right? They're
yeah,
like, I'm an idea person. It's like,
yeah.
I got some news for you.
Yeah, that's the someone, right, meme is born of that, right? It's the constant stream of, hey guys, yeah, someone should make a token that makes it so that when you use the toilet, it's on the blockchain so that you can track your movements, and then it's it's like what are you talking about? But if you do think that that is a valuable thing that will provide some kind of use case, then by all means go for it, right? On
Yeah.
chain medical history, or whatever you want to do, that's fine. But you can't expect the BCHN team or the Verdi team or whoever to prioritize your pet project as
Be like, holy shit, we hadn't thought of that. We're gonna jump right on it.
So yeah, there's I made a flow chart, right? So it's like, what do you have? Do you have skill? Do you have time? Do you have money? Right? Those are basically the three things.
This is why I like the Big Green team so much. I don't know what's in the future for them, but it's so functional right now. And every time I use it, I was like, wow, we people have been complaining about the decline and eventual shutdown of Purse.io for like years. People complained about
Yeah,
it for
and then
years
just
and years, and then
poof.
this dude, he just came up and then he did it. Like, holy
Yeah,
shit,
right.
man. Yeah.
Right? He just came up and did it, and it's really good, and it works, and it's super solid, and I've never had an error or whatever. It just fucking works. It's great.
Perfect example.
Yeah, it really is. Well, there's also, I think what you're doing is also, and maybe even a as good or better example also, because the first thing that people say when you're like, okay, well, be the someone, do the thing that you think is important, make it happen. And they're like, what? I'm not a developer. And so there's two responses to that, right? Which are both valid, which is one is it's really not that hard to become a developer anymore, right? There's unlimited resources to become a programmer. Like to become a software engineer, yes, that's a different issue, right? That's a profession. That's a thing where you've learned uh, a deep level of what it means to put out a product and balance needs and balance costs and benefits and all that stuff. Like, okay, but to actually build like something, it's not that hard anymore. That's one answer, which is valid. But then the other answer is, well, who says you have to develop it, right? You could find other people who want to do it. You could build a team. You could pay somebody. You could find somebody who wants to do it with you somehow, or bring your skills to the table. There's no reason that says you have to be a developer. Although that is a pretty high value skill these days, at least until AI replaces us all. But it's all good until then.
And it's not just that. Like people might be like, oh, but yeah, nobody knows me, and I don't have money. I literally don't have anything. The only thing I have is like literacy. What do I do? What do I do if I care about a software project? Right? There actually is a
Yeah,
lot of that
that's right.
people can do. One of them is debugging. You can go out and test comprehensively all the things and then document how they work or not work. You could do documentation. You could, yeah, like even people who literally don't have any software engineering skills and have no money and knows nobody can do something. And there's a lot of places they can help. That's the beauty of open source, right? So,
Yeah. And there's also just writing. Like there's some people on social media who do really good work just writing. Like they post articles, they write up on subjects, and that increases the volume of knowledge and counter noise, right?
yeah,
Because there's a lot of
yeah.
noise that's wrong out there. And so yeah, just putting out factual, valid information is valuable. So many things you can do. Actually, that was how I started just trying to participate in BCH. I was like, I don't know what to do. I have a little bit of programming experience, but let me just. I was like, okay, I understand derivation paths. Like I looked into it and I was like, that's really cool, and I figured out how it works. And I was like, that's really neat. And I always have a problem with it. So let me be the guy who like writes articles and helps people out, and shows them like what all the derivation paths that are out there and what it means and how to use them. That was it. Like wasn't anything special, right? But there's a lot of things you can do based on your experience and what you've done and what you know.
Just to sort of hammer in on that, like keep in mind, I'm a used CD and video game sales cat. I'm not a cryptographer, right?
What?
Right. So, I came to Bitcoin with the unique knowledge of Nintendo, which, is not really an applicable thing. And you don't need to have, a computer science degree in order to add value to the ecosystem. And exactly like what John was saying, there's a huge need for content creation. Just getting the word out, right? If you have the ability to go outside your home and you do some shopping, well, you can ask your local merchants if they're willing to accept BCH, right? That's something you can do. You can start a meetup, right? Your town probably doesn't have a meetup, so all you have to do is go to meetup.com, download the app onto your phone, and set up a new meetup. And as I said in the article, like, you don't need to worry about creating a presentation and getting a projector and renting a conference space. Like, probably your town has a public library and they have free meeting rooms. A local cafe would be happy to get a bunch of customers, so you could reserve an area for the day, and bonus points if you convince them to accept BCH. One thing that we did in Osaka, we went to a local bar and we asked them if we could have a meetup there, and they said yes. And we said, would you accept BCH for the meetup? And the owner was quite hesitant, and we said, well, what we can do is, you can accept BCH from all of the people who come to the meetup, and then at the end of the night, if you want, we will buy the BCH back from you and give you yen in return. And he agreed, and then at the end of the night, he decided that he actually wanted to keep the BCH instead. So,
Right? That always happens. As soon as people get a hold of it, they're like, I can't
right.
write this. Yeah,
And
every
so you
time.
don't need to prepare a presentation or anything. You just need to be the person that creates the space where people are welcome to come and talk about BCH. And then, people show up and you're like, hey, why do you like BCH? Or do you know about BCH? Do you have a wallet? Let me show you how to download a wallet. Do you have any questions? I'll answer your questions for you. It's actually incredibly valuable. And so, yeah, there's nothing stopping anyone from doing something of value. And that could be, again, create a podcast, create an image, create a song, write an article, start a meetup, talk to your friends, right? Talking to your friends is something really basic that you can do, your friends and your family. You don't have to be the preacher who proselytizes things that people don't want to hear, but you can, casually mention, hey, do you know about Bitcoin Cash? And have you tried, any crypto? And, it's just have a conversation, it's not that hard.
And the nice thing is, as we were discussing the other day, in Chief Lightning and I were discussing the other day, it's not a thing where you're proselytizing, right? Because that's, well, in the sense that you're just like pushing something that you may or may not believe in. If you really get what the point of Bitcoin is, there's nothing magical to it, right? It's like, hey, look, we have this really, really fucked up money system that the whole world is using. And it's really hard to break the network effect of that fucked up money system, which causes so many problems. We're trying. We're trying to provide an alternative. We're working on an alternative, and it's working to some degree. And we need more people to use it, because if more people aren't using it, then, it's chicken and the egg. You got to just keep building up wherever you can. And yeah, we're actually doing the thing. So whenever you feel like, oh my God, this system is broken, something's wrong, I want to do something better, I want to fix it. It's like, okay, here you go. Here's the way you can do it. Just use it. And using it alone is one of the most disruptive things you can do to this screwed up fiat money system that the whole world is running on. So yeah, there's nothing to be embarrassed about it, and there's nothing preachy or ugly about it. It's just, hey, look, there is an alternative. There's a thing you can do to make a difference. So, come do it. Come try it out.
Absolutely. So what are you waiting for? Yes, you. I'm talking directly to you. What are you waiting for?
No fourth wall.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, Jonathan, I don't know if his audio is working, but he was doing stuff like that since forever ago, since way back. I think Cheap Lightning, I don't know if you were actively doing stuff, but I know you were around for a very long time. But Jonathan was actually organizing meetups. They had mining back when it was still like pre ASIC days and stuff like that. That they were doing like a group mining thing, and yeah, man.
Yeah, that is correct. I ran a meetup for 2.5, 3 years, something on a weekly to bi-weekly basis, depending on how much people were coming. I set up 2 instances of mining, one with a group of 5 and one with a group of 20. And yeah, Butterfly Labs brings back fun memories, right?
That wasn't back. That wasn't back. Okay, that was Butterfly Labs. All right. So were you doing GPUs at the very
No,
beginning
no,
part, or was
I
it
was
no?
basically the
It was
GPU
already
side. It was ASICs all the way. So Butterfly Labs in the first one, and Butterfly Labs plus KNC in the second one.
Yeah, they got me good on jalapenos.
Also, like onboarded like 5, 6 merchants in my local city. Held the meetups, where every other time we had our meetups, it was at a local cafe. And what more? Yeah, I helped a lot of people with making sensible backups, things like that, just helping them get going. That's kind of appreciated.
right. Yeah, I like how you've always done like a lot of practical things. You're like, hey, backups are important. They should be easy. 10 years later, it's like they're still not easy. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, but
What are you doing?
one of the first things I did is I spent my own money to order like holographic sealing paper and other accessories from Bitcoin Paper Wallet. And then I downloaded the Bitcoin Paper Wallet source code locally, audited the code to the best of my ability, and then we issued paper wallets that people could seal and do all the things locally on our printer that was disconnected from the internet. So it's took security pretty seriously then. And the only bad part was the privacy
Very
side,
cool.
like it's a single key versions, but yeah, it worked well for its era, for its time.
Nice. There in the audience is Pantera, who's one of the examples of what we were talking about with the someone. He's been out there writing quality stuff, providing good factual information about Bitcoin Cash and why it's important and how it works and so forth. Never came up and was like, but I'm not a dev, I can't do anything. Just did a lot of useful things and has made a big difference, I think.
I'll actually argue
So,
that we have a stronger lack for non-dev people than dev people. So
right, yeah, yeah. Well, we have a lack of everything, but yeah, a stronger lack. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Stronger lack of non-dev stuff. Fair. Yeah, so thank you,
Yeah,
Pantera.
thank you.
You're welcome to come up, but I think you're usually not a
Not a speaker.
audio guy. Yeah. We got magicians in there. I just found out yesterday, Dagger. He's in the audience there. So they he is an example of the hyper dev, like right, actual full node dev,
Dude,
and
I would
as
love if
well as
Dagger
Apple.
came up. Like
Yeah, he's been on here
he's one
before.
of my new favorite people right now. I've been really checking out the Cauldron decks, and I just really love the tech there. And I'm really excited to figure out wallet integration for that, because it'll be a good foray into messing with smart
Oh
contracts
yeah.
and like wallet templates and stuff.
And
So
I
yeah,
just found out yesterday when you guys talk about casting spells, I just realized somebody told me yesterday we were talking about the socks, right? Which is obviously uh, uh, a shout out to the old alpaca socks or whatever. But the cauldron socks, you can enchant them. I didn't know that. I hadn't noticed that. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't notice you could do it, and you can do an enchantment on them. So now I understand when you guys are saying we're casting spells. I get it more now, and I'm gonna go do that sometime soon. And I don't know who it is that's doing marketing with you guys for Cauldron, but I've really been enjoying it. I love the 8-bit kind of motif and the magic and the spells and the potions and all that stuff. I love the design space for it. It's fun. I'm just a big fan of 8-bit stuff.
Me too.
They hooked me with that whole branding, like literally immediately, like before anybody knew what Cauldron Dex was. They just like dropped on Twitter all of a sudden. I just got like this random follow. I'm like, oh, these guys are definitely my vibe over here with the green apple emoji everywhere.
Right? Yeah. The green apple. That's right. That was the first stuff they had out there. I love it. So what do you guys see? Like, Callisti, thanks for coming up. I know you and Jeremy and a lot of it, you and Jeremy, I think, have been working really hard to create a kind of positive push for, positive, constructive, confident um, ecosystem, right? For community that has a very good face and an attractive face and a strong face. As opposed to the past of being beat down, defensive, a little bit paranoid about things. And it's good to have that in your back pocket, to be strong and not be naive about things. That's good to have, but it's even better to have that combined with confidence and just moving ahead and being positive. What do you see coming up in this year in 2024? You have a feeling for what's coming? Not on the
I,
products, but like on the ecosystem, the community.
I mean, I'm just optimistic in general. I mean about like the ecosystem. I'm pretty sure BCHers are going to make it. That's how I feel in general. Um, Also, I mean, on the whole like positivity thing, I think I also really have to give a shout out to Fiendish Crypto
Yeah.
because he's one of the first people in the community that I like really kind of made friends with, like was talking in DMs a little bit on Reddit. And he and I had similar ideas at around the same time. It's kind of like me and Jeremy had similar ideas at the same time. It's funny how this stuff works. But we were just talking in one of the BCH channels, um, just about how I think it was like the BCH marketing. There was like a at BCH marketing channel at one point. And we both had like this idea that we could really change our image just by shedding the negatives, just really focusing on the positive. Because at the time, this is like 2021, like Bull Run, and there's like trolls running around in our BTC everywhere still. This is like before we had like the slightly stricter moderation policies there too. It was like a super free speech zone, and stuff that would get you in trouble with Reddit was allowed there, and so that started being a problem. But overall, you can really see the results of that now because I think the consistency over the past 2 years of just being positive is really starting to resonate with a lot more people. And I think you could feel it in our own optimism as well as just like the broader community, like reaching out to us. They're getting a lot of people we've never seen or heard of before, like joining our community. Coming into like these spaces and reaching out, being like, "Oh, Bitcoin Cash is actually like kind of cool. Like, where do I learn more about it?" I've been hearing a lot more of that
Have
recently,
you really?
especially
I
over
was
like
I
the
was
last
gonna
month.
ask you about that. Yeah.
So I think our work is paying off. I really do. And then so as long as we keep building these cool demand drivers, like more apps and just like more interesting things, like people are starting to take notice that something is actually happening over here. So we just gotta kind of keep doing what we're doing and like not go backwards, basically.
This feels like honestly, it feels like a rerun of about 2000, I don't know. What would you say, Jonathan? You name like 13, maybe 12 or 13? It feels like a rerun from that.
Okay,
Except
so I've heard that vibe before though. I have heard
except
that, but I feel like
except
that
we're
would have been
much more, much less naive than we were at that time, right? So there's a lot of energy. There's people who have the right idea, who are pretty well aligned on how things should go and what the purpose is, what the value is, how you can get there, like the kind of broad cloud of ideas that are possible and going in that direction. I don't know. It feels very similar, except a lot less naivete about uh, the fact that it's just going to go without any kind of opposition, which is valuable.
I mean, uh, I think we have always had like a pretty good foundation for this to happen, but it's been covered for so long by all the I mean I shouldn't call it bullshit even. That's putting it way too lightly. Like all the catastrophe that's been happening like once every 2 years and the stuff that's leading up to them that has been consuming so much energy. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, let's just spend like two.
The annual, oh
Let's just
shit.
spend like two plus because you gotta count all the aftermath dealing with freaking CSW, things like that. Like seriously, guys,
Yeah.
like holy shit. Yeah, so it shows what people can do when they don't have to get distracted by bullshit anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll even say stronger than that, because that was true in 2012, 13, or whenever it is, the similar kind of zeitgeist period. But that was also true then. But at that time, let's say now, it's more like you have that experience in your back pocket that we've been through, and we know, okay, there's gonna be hard times also, and it's okay to to know that you're going to get opposition, you're going to have struggles, people with different opinions, and that's all okay. You just got to know how to deal with
Yes.
it, and it's fine, right? So now we know how to deal with it much better than
Yes.
before.
It's a difference between just never having any trouble versus okay, we know where the trouble comes from and we can see it from a mile away, so we're not gonna repeat that anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. That's cool. Okay, so that's really good to hear that you're pretty optimistic still, Callisti. It's been great. Um, you guys, I don't know. Speaking for myself, like just speaking for myself, I think you, Jeremy, Fiendish, Cheap Lightning, have had a big part in kind of slapping me personally out of the kind of defensive stance and into a more confident stance. So I really appreciate you guys because that defensive stance is just kind of ugly. Um, doesn't really help you, and I really appreciate what you guys have done. And every once in a while, I still slip back into like told you so's and gotchas and dunks on BTC and Lightning. And Cheap Lightning is like, I'm gonna kick you out of the meme group if you don't shape up. No, he doesn't say that, but he probably thinks
I
it.
do. I think that.
He does.
I think there's
But
a place for that here and there. It's like take your lap. I mean, we have been dunked on for so long that it is like good to take our victories where we can. It's just you just can't be overzealous. Because I
yeah,
mean,
and
I'm
it's
over
it's
here
always
dunking on
speaking for
people.
them,
I feel
right?
like I'm actually kind of abrasive sometimes. I'm like a generally nice person, but I'm also a troll sometimes. So
What's hard when you try to engage in good faith with somebody and they give you some bullshit and then it kind of turns into a tit for tat, like, all right then, we're gonna
all right,
go.
I'm gonna bullshit you, but does my bullshit sound smarter and not gonna come back to bite me? Like I have a rule for myself where I don't ever want to have to delete things. Like if I feel like I have to delete, then I shouldn't post.
Yes. Man, how much better would the world be if that was just a base rule of thumb for people to go by? I don't
I just
know.
think reputation matters. It helps with saving
Well, that's
face.
proof of work,
That
right? That's your reputation is unless you want to re-roll. Like a bunch of us are anon, so if I say something really controversial and terrible right now, and I get excommunicated from the community, I could re-roll and start up a new identity. But then all of the work that I've put in through the last 10 plus years in Bitcoin gets erased, right? And so your identity, your name becomes incredibly important. And so yeah, being consistent with your messaging and etc. Become really important. So yeah, I think having accountability as far as uh, your own words are is super important. So yeah, not writing things that you might regret later is probably a good policy.
there's something to that. I don't know exactly what if there's probably a name for it and it's well understood already, but that just made me think, there's influencers who break that rule, right? Not all influencers, right? Like not all personalities or whatever, but uh, they'll say whatever the hell people want to hear, just for whatever is popular at the moment, and then completely change. Um, we'll call it the the stereotypical politician, right? Like how people perceive politicians. And that seems to work really well, right? But what you're talking about with integrity, saying what you mean, doing what you say, uh, and standing by what you've said, even if you made mistakes and all that, the integrity and the influencers who have that, I think is going to end up being a lot more integrated, right? Because if I look at like a BitBoy or whatever others, they may personally have their own brand and power and whatever reach and so forth, but they're kind of out floating. They're not integrated. They're not really part of anything bigger. Whereas the people who have the integrity and have consistency and uh, they say what they mean, get integrated into the whole ecosystem, right? I don't know. There's something to that.
I'm just not really doing Twitter for clout. I literally started posting on Twitter because I was talking to myself in the BCH price chat a lot. And I was like, how about I just ramble on Twitter instead? And I guess 3,400 people like hearing me ramble.
Nice.
It's weird to me. I don't know.
So Cheap Lightning, tell us about because so recently you've had some wise words for me when I'm out there, just like lightning, like just whatever, and you're like, hey, let's just talk facts. Like, could you tell us a little bit about that approach that you've come up with, like when you engage on Twitter? How is it that you're doing that these days? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. That's a really tough one. I get it. I've been around the block for a while, and it's been a while since we've had the opportunity to be right, or be vindicated or whatever. And so it is, kind of delicious to see these people come to the same conclusions that we came to in 2015-16. And to be able to say, hey, there's no reason to have gone down this path. Like, I get it. Feels nice to dunk. It feels nice to take a victory lap. But at the same time, who is the audience out there? And what we have to be aware of is what BCH shows to the world in front-facing places like BCH channel, and of course very public places like Twitter and Reddit as well. So if all we do is sound like a whiny ex-partner, then that's not going to be appealing for anyone. And there's a huge difference between like posting the facts, numbers, right? It's like, well, Lightning's not going to work because of these facts, versus fuck you, you're an idiot, whatever, which, core cuck, or, all of these things. It's like, ha ha ha. Okay, but that's not going to convince anyone that BCH is better, right? And so there's a big difference between pointing out like perhaps misguided way of thinking, or perhaps pointing out the purity spiral, which is something that I'm very much aware of now, right? It's like, if you don't toe the party line, you're excommunicated. And in a decentralized system, that doesn't make sense at all, right? So pointing out some of these things to people is fine, but just straight up dunking on people is not going to convince anyone to join BCH. If anything, it's going to make people resistant, because it's like, who wants to join this like whiny bitch party? I don't, all day, every day. I don't, that doesn't make me want to join any group or anything. If you look at any, community of tribalism, it gets really tiring really fast, whether it's red versus blue, or Coke versus Pepsi, or PlayStation versus Xbox, or any tribalism thing you can think of. It just gets so tiring so quickly. And so just being positive and sticking to the facts, I think, is going to convert a lot more people than you're so dumb. There's certainly some trolls who like, love being trollish, and that's where they get their joy in the day. And so other trolls may like join in on the trolley party, but that's a subset of people that is perhaps not our target audience. We want the 7 billion people in the world who are not yet into crypto, right? Quotes crypto.
Yeah, who maybe, or rather, even more positively, who are just frustrated with the system that they live in and struggling with the system that they live in, and thinking there must be a better way. And I don't mean that in any kind of ironic or joking way. I mean literally, like, fuck, there must be a better way. And it's like, yes, 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 there's one right here. Like, it doesn't solve every problem, but it solves one problem. Let's use this one and try to take things step by step.
Well,
Yeah.
that's really what.
Can
Sorry.
I jump in?
Yep.
So this is actually something that I picked up as well, and my realization is that it matters quite a bit more than you think how we talk to each other, like within our tribe, before we go out and talk with others. And so I've started making it really clear, even when I talk to people who I know share like the same viewpoints I have, that Bitcoin Cash isn't, bigger blocks, right? It's much more than that, and making sure that in every possible place that I can reiterate this, I'll just say that, like, yeah, 2017 it was bigger blocks, but we're 2024 now, and so we're bigger blocks, and we're native introspection and external signature validation and 64-bit integers and a full set of arithmetic operators and a full set of string management operators and transferable local state and minor validated tokens and double spend proofs, and just go
And the chip
on
process,
and on and on.
not even technical, right?
We have done
the social
so,
layer, the chip process.
yeah, we have done
also.
so many technical things that lead us forward, and almost every complaint I hear against BCH is stuck in 2017 to 2019, where we were trying to meet future scalability demands rather than making a attractive and valuable system that have demand. And so I think we're on a really good path. As the last couple of years, we have moved over and started introducing the things that would allow people to build tools for adoption, tools that make the system itself more valuable, and tools that ultimately is going to deliver on the underlying promise. The underlying promise being like peer-to-peer cash, and the peer-to-peer part is the absolute crucial part of it, because if you're looking at buying, some bubble gum in your local store, it's not peer-to-peer. There's a payment processor in between. It's a third party. There's a middleman. There's often many of them. If you want to go buy insurance, it's not peer-to-peer. The investors who put money into the insurance company is not the one you're interacting with. It's the insurance company itself, but the money came from somewhere else or from profits from other people who are working at it. And we can actually start building tools where it is peer-to-peer now. We have the underlying fundamentals to make something like a decentralized insurance company where the other clients of the said company are the actual insurance. Like they are the ones helping us, so we don't need more than like lines of code between us and our fellow brethren. Yeah, sorry, that turned into a rant.
I like it
too. Yeah, what I was going to say before was, that's really what I got into or excited about Bitcoin in the first place, right? Is not, I mean, everybody likes number go up. Everyone wants to be rich, but being so frustrated with the state of the world and just constantly being apathetic because it's like, well, I'm just a cat that sells video games. What can I do to make any kind of meaningful change in the world in my lifetime with my limited resources, right? And of course, a community is how you do that. You build a community so that your power gets amplified. And Bitcoin was that community. It was the first time in my life that I'd ever heard of anything that I felt had the potential to actually make a difference in the world, right? Make the world a better place. And that sounds like some hippie thing, but it's not, right? there's a huge value in changing the structure of these ossified systems, which are so ingrained and so immovable, and here's this revolution happening. And witnessing the birth of the internet and email, it was really obvious that, like, okay, well, revolutionizing money is the next step, and money is what makes the world go around. So here is by far the best thing we have to revolutionize money, and therefore revolutionize the world. And I think for a lot of people in Bitcoin Cash, that is our motivation, and that's what brings us to the table here. And it may seem kind of silly, but like, if you just looking at the perspective of Telegram groups, right, there is a separate BCH price chat. And a lot of people who are new to the community come and ask, like, oh, why do you divide the community? And why don't you just like let people talk about the price in the main channel, right? And that's because people who want to talk about Bitcoin and the future of money for the world are not as interested in the daily price fluctuations as they are with the technology and the ideology. And the main channel is where those discussions happen. And there's nothing wrong with discussing the price and your, posting your charts and your ideas about where the price is going to go. And there's a place where you can do it. It happens to be the big Costco hot dog price talk chat. But that just really goes to show the focus of the community, right? We're not focused on the price because that to a large degree is outside of our hands, right? The whales and the game of whales is being played out and by people who have interest in BCH and don't have interest in BCH and all of these other things. Something we really can't have too much of a direct effect on, other than making BCH more valuable by utility, etc. But what we can do is focus on the direction of the project and how to make it better. And that's why a less noise, more focused, high signal chat like BCH channel is the way it is, in case anyone's wondering.
And that we actually understand that that's important.
Right.
Right. That because okay, I don't want to talk about other projects, but to compare to other projects, right? Like, there's no differentiation there, none, for a lot of projects, right? The price is the only discussion, and everything else is window dressing to a large degree, right? Whereas the original Bitcoin started in 2009. The price was an incentive mechanism, is an incentive mechanism still. The price is an incentive mechanism to bootstrap the system. It's just one part of the big picture. It's not the big picture. So, and we understand that, and we understand that it's one part of the picture, and it's an important part, but it's not the whole picture. That's very valuable that our ecosystem actually understands that at a very deep level.
I think that doesn't get probably as much promotion or is as well understood as it should be, right? Because it's so different than other projects, right? If you look at 99% of the crypto that's out there, it's about sort of creating a system so that the price will pump and you'll get rich. And I think probably the outlier to that is probably Monero, right? Because their number one thing is privacy. When you talk to the Monero people, they're like privacy, and that's fine. That's not exactly where my focus is, but I think it's valuable. But most crypto projects out there, it's like, oh, we're making a game so that your tokens will go up in value, and then they strap together some very basic garbage game, and nobody wants it. And the founders had some kind of like 10% pre-sale or whatever pre-mine, and it's just a game. It's just a game. So I'm really, really happy that people in BCH in general don't have that mindset, and I'm happy to be a part of the community.
Or even if people do have that mindset, right? It's a very niche subset, right? Like, yes, if you have a global money network, that's one of the many things people will do with it, right? It's like the US dollar, right? Where people are like, oh my God, crypto is used for money laundering and for crime and whatever. And it's like, okay, wait. No, the US dollar is the primary tool for money laundering, crime, and everything because it's really useful, right? Despite its other shortcomings, which we're trying to overcome, it's extremely useful with the network effect. So it's very useful for all these things also. So sure, people are going to be doing those things with a money network, but it's not the point of it, right? There's a big difference between that being the whole point of a network and one random thing that some people are going to end up doing with it no
Right.
matter what. Yeah. Well, thank you for explaining all that. I get a lot of wisdom from you guys and learn something all the time about how to approach all of this.
You're very welcome.
Thanks. No, really, seriously. I wonder what it is that will make like what is it? There's some kind of tension, right? Where if I'm a whale, let's say that I have just whatever, just a huge, absolutely huge amount of wealth. What is it that makes someone interested in a long-term project that's actually aiming to change the world, right? Where, as we put it in other places, like face melting returns, because that is the incentive mechanism of adoption for Bitcoin is face melting returns. That's the incentive mechanism. That's not the point of it, but that's the incentive mechanism. Is that you put money into it, you grow the thing, the network becomes valuable, you get network effects, and then it's used by everybody. And as that usage goes up, the network effect goes up by the square of that usage, right? Metcalfe's law, the network effect. And as that usage and utility goes up in an exponential or Metcalfe's law way, the value of the network increases. That's the incentive mechanism to replace fiat. Whether it works or not, we'll find out. But what is it that drives a big whale who has just a huge amount of capital and I don't mean a crypto whale, I just mean a person who has a large amount of capital in any form, to look at that and be like, hey, shit, that's where I'm going to put my stuff versus, Hex or BTC or Obama, Shiba, what's
Sonic,
the
Obama,
Sonic,
Inu,
Obama,
Inu.
yeah, what a great one. I love that. Just
The
for
meme.
the pure honesty of that meme.
Yeah, I think you're.
What is it that drives that?
You're asking the wrong guy. I'm one of the poors. I think for most people
sorry. I'm gonna kick you off.
on Earth.
This guy actually doesn't have
sorry.
money. He's out.
Yes,
Let's get him off of
here. I think for most people, it's I want it now, Daddy. Short-term profits, right? So people are looking to turn a buck as quickly as possible. And I think for, this is my opinion, obviously I haven't done any kind of research or whatever, but for a lot of whales, they look at BCH and like, oh yeah, it's a great idea. And, these guys have a real nice motivation and stuff, but, I'm not going to get rich today. But meanwhile, there's Sonic, Obama, Inu, whatever, and I can corner the market and get 1,000x return very quickly. And I'm not sure. I think it's just ideology, right? So,
well, it's not just ideology, right? It's the short, maybe like you said, short term versus medium and long term, because short term pump and dump works great if you know how to work that machine and you're happy to work that machine. I don't know how to work that machine, and I wouldn't be happy working that machine. But for some people, that's totally fine with them, and they're happy with it. But then for medium and long term, it's actually you need a real network effect, and you need a monetary system that actually can compete with fiat and that can have an economy run on top of it, with small scale at first and medium scale and then global scale later. That's the whole point of it. And if you really think that can happen, which we do, that's the whole point of it. I think if many of us didn't believe that would actually happen, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be wasting our time on it. There's many other things to do in life. But we actually believe that is what's going to happen in the long term. Is this is going to be standing toe to toe with the global fiat standard. So if you see that that's a possibility, then maybe you do get interested in it. But obviously that doesn't just happen, right? There's some belief. There's maybe people don't believe that it's actually going to happen, or there's the other of like for example with BTC, people are like, oh, but BTC maybe the price is going to go up, maybe they're going to increase the block size, and then it's going to make BCH not meaningful anymore. And then it's like, okay, wait. If you actually see what's going on and you understand what's going on, if you have the alpha, so to speak, that doesn't mean anything in the long term. That's not what's actually going on. And the only one in that pair that has a chance of making it in the long term is BCH. It's the only one that has the right alignment. So, yeah, what is it that makes that?
I think
makes somebody believe that?
Can I jump in there?
Yep.
Because I actually see another threat that was identified at least back in 2013, probably several years before, and that was the saying that Bitcoin's largest threat will always be a version of Bitcoin that is better than what we have today. And I see that as like a possibility. There might be a better blockchain 10 years from now that we haven't been able to conceive or build today that simply does the job better and like changes the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, out of the things we have today, then you can't really like look at things and say that Bitcoin Cash isn't a very, very good bet in terms of like the technical foundations and the ability to scale long term. Also, when people say that, like, yeah, but what if Bitcoin gets a larger block size and Bitcoin Cash becomes irrelevant? I'll just go back and say again, right? We did so much more. It's not 2017 anymore. And you want your OpCTV? Well, we already have native introspection. You want your OpCat? We already have OpCat. You want your whatever they are looking to have right now in the Bitcoin ecosystem. We essentially already have those features on Bitcoin Cash, and we don't have an internal revolution or a war brooding around it. We are happy with the position we're in. We're moving forward. We're taking pride in the work we have done, and we're making sure that we're building the future we want to have ourselves, and we don't wait for anyone else to give us approval. We don't wait for some repository or someone to say, oh, we can do this, but only if you... No. They can fight among themselves all they want, and meanwhile, we'll build the future.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I'm there. We're doing that. I wonder what it is. We don't have any openly speaking whales about BCH these days. None that I know of, at least. Among us, there may be some secret whales, but what do you think they're thinking, Jonathan? What do you think they see when they look at a mixture of investment, as in pure returns kind of thought process, as well as, hey, what the hell am I doing in this life? What do I want to do with my money? What do I want to accomplish? What do you think the thought process is there? I don't see it. It's hard for me to see.
I wish I was a whale so that I understand that, but I'm actually not. There are so many different takes they could be doing, like everything from like, yeah, but we have this long-term downwards trend. Why would it change? But I'm still here because high risk, high reward. Could also be like, we've seen this pattern before, right? We had Blockbuster, we had Nokia, we had a lot of different companies that really were on the top of their game and had like 95% of the market cornered. And then 3 years later, they barely existed. Yeah, it's really hard to say.
I know there's one whale out there that I know relatively well. I know relatively well. who literally the reason they got into it in the first place was, hey, wait a minute, this is really useful. This is what I need. I need this to make my business work. And they used it. And those people, the very few that I know, they realized, along with Bitcoin Cash ecosystem, they were part of the whole transition. They're like, wait, this whole thing going on this doesn't work anymore. This isn't why it was useful. This isn't why it was helpful. This isn't why it made a big difference for my business. I'm going along the BCH path because this is the one that actually makes sense for running a business and doing commerce on. So I know there's some that see that. I guess they're a very small minority, but
No, I
people
can
there.
absolutely resonate with that. I mean, recently I found myself trying to explain to people on Twitter who kind of challenge my credential or think I'm a nobody in the space by saying that, yeah, you know what, I did help meetups in 2013. I did run mining software. I did do all these things. I did onboard merchant. And the Bitcoin I did it for is the Bitcoin Cash fork. Right? We hadn't split the path, but if I draw a line back all the way back to when I got in on the premise of functional money. I got in on the premise of low global transfer. I cherished the Western Union like ad version we did for
Yeah.
Bitcoin. I saw like global transformational power coming from not the speculative part, but from removal of all these middlemen, removal of all this friction, and quite frankly, I still see it, right? Look at the
It's
global
there.
banking
Yeah.
system today and just take whatever revenue numbers they put out year after year, it's billions, trillions, whatever many big numbers they do. That's money that could have gone to further the human development, right? To improve the human condition. Instead, it was extracted as fees when it didn't need to. We could have been running on a blockchain. We could have been running on an efficient monetary system that doesn't need that, which means that it would free that friction up, and all those resources would be available to improve things and to make life better for every one of us.
Yeah, man. Once you have a replacement and you realize how good it is, it's just like anybody who's been through one of the major technological revolutions, who's been through, digital photography, digital audio, digital media, who's been through the internet, the transition from paper to email, the transition from anybody who's been through one of those uh, knows that feeling of, wait, we can't go back. No, we can't go back. There's no way you can make me go back. And I think that's one of the beautiful things is once people really start to use Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin that actually works, uh, it's like, oh God. Then you go back and you try to use your credit card and some stupid thing happens and you're just like, oh, or some transfer gets denied because there's a middleman who has some political requirement to check you for whatever reasons it is, or oh, because this transfer is cross border, therefore it goes through all kinds of other checks that really don't make any sense. Yeah, once you've gone to the other side and then you try to come back, it's like, oh no, it's really like a one-way street. So yeah, I think it's there. We just gotta get more people to feel it and realize that there really is a better way. Not to mention all the corruption that happens from the fiat system and the constant inflation and political direction of inflation. So yeah, I don't know. How do I get more people?
Well, speaking of reflections back to 2013 or so, my advice for any wealthy person out there or any whale who's on the sidelines is Bitcoin Cash seems to be doing pretty interesting and unique stuff. You might want to pick up some in case it catches on.
In case it catches on.
In case it catches on.
Well, yeah, and it's not just technology, right? It's
Yeah.
BCH is the whole package. We've been through the crucible. We understand what it means. We've been in fights, a lot of fights. Maybe too many, but we've been in a lot of fights, and we know how to win. We've lost a few, but we know how to win. And we lost one. We lost one. The BTC fight, we lost that. But we've won a lot of others, and yeah, we know what it takes. We know that it's not going to be easy. I don't know what it is. Yeah. What I mean is, it's not just tech, right? It's not
Oh
just
yeah.
can the devs do something. It's a whole ecosystem of people doing marketing, people doing media, development, infrastructure, applications, everything.
I don't want to harp on BTC too much, but I think, one thing that people in this chat are incredibly well aware of, which I think people in the BTC ecosystem as a whole really don't understand, is how the splits are social. Before anything else, they're social. And if you look at what's going on over there with just there's no,
Oh man,
it's just
it's so bad.
yeah, it's so much infighting, and because there is no social process to resolve any of these things. And as people are well aware, you need to be anointed by the 10 holy priests of BTC to get your change in. BCH doesn't have that problem. We have the chip process, and it's difficult on purpose, but it's an incredibly well thought out system. And I highly recommend, if anyone has not looked into what the chip process is or how it works, please do so, because I think we've really nailed the social schism risk by adhering to chips. It's really revolutionary. So thanks to Uname for writing that initial document.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that emerged from a bunch of discussion at the time, and there was a lot of people with, related ideas all in the same kind of circle, but Uname really took it and he was like, okay, look. Okay. We can all talk about it all day, but at the end of the day, you got to actually establish something or else you don't actually have something. So I really appreciate that he sat down and said, okay, look, here's an actual concrete thing that we need to make use of. Not just ideas, not just a cloud of ideas,
So he was the someone.
He was the someone, one of the someone,
right?
Yeah. What's the other? Recently we were talking with Josh Ellithorpe, Uname, and he brought up his opinion that the process will, to make it short, he thinks the process will fall apart as things grow larger, right? What are your thoughts on how chip may evolve as the BCH ecosystem grows?
There are two ways to do this. So I do agree that when the ecosystem grows larger, we will face more challenges. People are going to not just have even more different opinions, but they will have backings of their opinions, and that is that can become a problem. So there are several ways to solve this. So the traditionally crypto way is to just you could say that okay, the best way to have no controversy is to just never change again, and that's basically all outlined in the chip zero document. But yeah, if you don't change, then you can leverage the power of inertia to keep your group together as much as possible for as long as possible. That's one way to do it. The other way is that you could establish even more rigid processes, and that is a common thing that many organizations around the world does. Personally find this preferable to never changing. I don't know what exactly those more rigid processes will be, but we will find out if we grow like 10x, 100x larger. Um, and we have a process to get there. There are other possible but a lot less desirable outcomes that could happen. It could be that as things go out of control, eventually some kind of authority is imposed on everything, and a guy or a small bunch of shadowy guys get to say what it is. That sucks. That sucks. I find the establishment of processes probably preferable to that outcome. And of course, we could also have something that we don't know yet, that is so radical that it greatly alleviates or removes the need to have any processes. We don't know what that is, but given that we are in crypto, we should always keep an open mind. So yeah, those are several things that could happen.
You guys got that?
Let's cross that bridge when we get there.
Well, yeah, yes, but also to some degree, right? There's value in understanding that conflict will come,
Sure.
that just difficulties and troubles will come, and being well prepared for them is good. Being paranoid about them is not good. I probably tend towards the paranoid side,
Not me.
but yeah, but being aware of the things that are coming down the road is important. And that's one of the nice things with an ecosystem that knows where it's going, in contrast to the ecosystem that won't be named again, that we came from and continue. If you don't know where you're going, you have no way of identifying what's coming up and what you're gonna run into. So we can actually see probably what kind of things we're gonna run into and think about
Yeah,
it and get ready for it.
and I think conversations like this is important to have and important to keep going over time, because what we have found out through very harsh lessons is that things, the need for processes don't go away if you don't think about it or stop talking about them. They will always be there, and if you don't think about it, if you don't do it, someone you don't like is gonna do what they like, and you're not gonna like that outcome. So yeah.
You name, I have a totally different thing. If anybody needs to drop off, we've been on over an hour, but I have no intention of stopping. It's New Year, and I had a pretty big drink,
What?
so I'm all right with going on. But I have a question for you, you name. Do you remember the guild idea that you had? This was back when we were worrying about before the chip
Oh,
process existed, right? And we were talking about, how do you move ahead? How do you make decisions? How do you decide how to allocate capital
shit.
in a system that's actually decentralized?
Uh,
And I kind of have a feeling that we still need. I don't think it was the right solution
yes.
for what ended up being the chip process, but I think the question of,
That,
let's say I'm a whale. Like, let's say the previous question I said of I'm a whale who has billions of current U.S. dollars value, something, 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 and I really want to replace the fiat system. Where do I invest my capital to make that happen? That's really fucking hard to do.
yes.
There's so much bullshit out there, and it's really hard to separate the wheat from the chaff. How do you do that? So I suspect that this idea you had a long time ago of the guild still needs development
That,
so that
that,
somebody who does have resources and capital can say, oh, look, there is a way to figure things out. Basically, venture capital, but for an actual decentralized ecosystem. Like, have you been thinking about that
we
at
we
all?
we
Or?
we we do. There was a very crude version, like way back in 2020. When we were trying to set things up. And that thing, now that I look back at it, it looks eerily like uh well, let's just say it's an organization though whose structure and eventual outcome I don't really like, but it's still around. Anyway, so that so uh,
What? Okay, you're gonna have to DM me that because I don't know what it is.
I don't
What?
want to talk about it.
Oh shit.
I have friends there. I have friends there. I don't want to be on bad food. Uh, and anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so over time, but that thing was scrapped, but because it involved a lot of dev work, and not only does it involve a lot of network, it faces the same problem that I eventually realized. I had only a crude idea what they are at the time, but eventually found out like the essence of it. At the time, the thought is that okay, so we set up mechanisms to stop this. We set up mechanisms to make sure of that, and then I realized, okay, wait, this faces the exact same problem that things as simple as minor voting faces. Like if you guys remember at that back in that time, there was also
We're not going to talk about that.
man, there's a lot of things we're not going to talk about. But anyway, it faces the same problem that it faces the same problem that a lot of other systems face, which is that okay, in order for all these mechanisms to work, it assumes that everybody involved in this organization is totally into this thing, and they will work.
Right.
They will work, or they will work on either making being informed enough to make good decisions themselves, or they work really hard to make sure that they're delegating to people they don't really know, and that will make good decisions. Um, you know, and those are all unrealistic assumptions. It's and
The bitter pill, unrealistic
a lot
assumptions.
of those are the reason why our world is today is barely dragging its feet along. It kind of works. It kind of works, but it sucks in so many places. Like those are the reasons. And the nation states of today have much, much, much stronger institutions to keep these things going. Um, your little proto guild or VC is not going to have something so strong and so limitlessly backed. Yeah, it's not gonna work out. It's not gonna work out so well. Um, there it's still evolving. I am working on something even today. Much of it thanks to me also doing work on GP, so I have a way to feed myself. Uh, um, but but I something I do eventually realize that is that okay, maybe maybe having people collectively just come together, and then one man one vote is probably a bad idea in a lot of cases. And the other thing I realized that okay, even if you make people like this is the idea of DAOs, like even if you make people come together in a big hall, and then you make them vote like one Satoshi, one vote, that is still a bad idea for the reason that is specified before. Like people have limited mental capacity. The it's you run into practical considerations very quickly. So what is needed is a way to minimize the effort that people would need to spend on making decisions while maximizing the possibility that they will be able to put their either capital or influence towards an outcome that benefits them. And there's no perfect solution, but there are probably better solutions than what we have today, and I'm working on that right now. Um, yeah.
I like how you boiled that down. Minimize the effort needed and maximize the return on whatever it is that you invest into the thing. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's obvious. But yeah, that's very hard to achieve.
And there are a lot of components in this. Like how do we actually make people put trust where they're deserved? Like right now, a lot of trust is put into brands. Because brands, like it or not, a brand is a thing that scales. You put a brand on a website, you can reach 1 million people. You can reach 10 million people. You can reach 1 billion people. Brands are things that scale, but are they the best way for people to make decisions? What kind of drawbacks do brands have? The other possible way is to join like really large tribes. It's what Homo sapiens used. You believe in a religion, you break the skulls of people believing in a different religion, and then you win. The other guy doesn't, and so on and so forth. Is that the best way? There's a lot of things like that for people to think about, and yeah, um, uh, having the time to consider those things in the design process is awesome.
And what's really cool for anybody who's listening is that if you just listen to that and you're like, well, that sounds a little bit abstract. The cool thing is, if you know Uname's history, this stuff doesn't remain abstract. It becomes very concrete. And this isn't just thinking and random ideas and random neurons firing. This is stuff that becomes practical reality in things like Bitcoin Cash Node, which helped to and Flipstarter, which had a huge part in keeping permissionless money alive and keeping it from falling into some ugly holes that are traps. So these ideas that Uname has tend to eventually become very practical, real things that in hindsight you'll be like, oh, well, that's obvious. But before it happens, you'll be like, what's he talking about? So I'm looking forward to all this.
Save this stream for reference later.
Right? You'd be like, oh, yeah, well, it was obvious.
He laid it all out.
It was right there. It was
January
right there.
2024. It was
right
there. The seeds were planted. You ignored it.
Yeah. All right. Well, so if you're out there with your billion current day US dollars, you have a little bit more to wait to figure out how to apply that capital.
But you might want to pick up some BCH just in case it catches on. Just in case. Just in case. Right?
Yeah, and since we are basically free talking right now, I also want to thank the users of BCH Bull, like about who are there like crashing the store about 24 hours ago. Like that was
Holy
that
shit,
was
man.
a lot of traffic. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, to the BCH Bull users out there, we're very sorry that the things were kind of falling apart at the wrong moment. But all you can do is trust us that we didn't sleep for quite a while, trying to get things working and make things work, and not just like we've been ignoring it, right? We always prioritize security, reliability, and all of that, and I think it's held up, right? I've never had somebody with lost funds or anything like that's never happened.
I lost funds, but that was my fault.
Wait, what?
That's a funny, and that's
a story for another time. Or I could tell that story.
That's a story for another time, and it's a very good story.
I can tell it if you want.
It's an unsolved mystery.
Well, no, it's completely solved, but
kind of. Okay, but as far as the system goes, it's we work very hard on that. But yeah, it can definitely be more reliable, and we appreciate everybody using it. And holy shit, yeah, like Uname said, you guys went. I don't know the English, right? In Japanese, we say furuboko. Like it just went berserk on the system when the recent price drop happened. So thank you for using it. We're gonna work hard to keep making it more reliable and faster, and not have issues. But yeah, man, people are actually using it. 24,000 BCH locked into contracts last time I checked, which was like a handful of hours ago.
$6 million, right?
Yeah, $6 million. That makes a big fucking difference. That's real usage. That's people using BCH to accomplish some goals, whether that's they're speculating or they're saving. And I don't say that as a just like a marketing point. Like literally, there's people who use it for savings, right? They don't want to be in the fiat system. They really want to exit from the fiat system. They're holding some kind of crypto, whatever it is. But when they hold BCH, they can use it to stabilize their purchasing power, which is a very real concern, right? Because values of crypto can fly up and down. So they can stabilize their purchasing power in whatever it is that they think is a reasonable thing to stabilize, whether it's US dollars or gold or silver or Chinese yuan or whatever it is. They can stick it to that point and stabilize. That's very valuable. It's not only speculation that's going on. So yeah.
Right. Let me jump in here because context is everything. So Ethereum has many, many years of head start on building decentralized finance applications. And if you go to DeFi Llama, you will find lists of various things that exist in various other chains, most of them Ethereum or Ethereum clones. If you were to go to derivatives, the category where AnyHedge matches what AnyHedge is, and you scroll down to like 59th place, you will see AnyHedge is there and it's listed at like $1.32 million TVL because DeFi Llama can't count. And there's two reasons for that. One, we're so different from their other systems they're managing, they just haven't built infrastructure to handle it. And the other is that our contracts actually don't reveal any information until settlement, and so they can't count things that haven't settled yet. So when we say about 24,000 BCH in actual contracts and a $6 million, that actually puts us in the top 30 spot, right? So compared to the all other chains ecosystems and all other services out there in crypto that is measured on DeFi Llama, we on BCH, who hasn't been around for very long and who got our DeFi features fairly recently, have actually broken into the top 30 quite consistently for a while now. And I suspect we're going to climb higher in the coming year.
I endorse this prediction.
Me too.
Yeah, man. It's real, and the value is real. As I said in a recent, I think it was in Callisti's space, or I can't remember what it was, but General Protocols, when we were getting started many years ago, 2018, 2019, when we were getting started, it wasn't a trivial choice, right? The very obvious choice for short term was, hey, you should do something on Ethereum. At the time, it was just Ethereum, not EVM, but Ethereum, because Ethereum hadn't run into its scaling problems yet. And we were like, in our opinion, right, we had enough knowledge and understanding to say, that's not long-term viable. That's not going to work, because we want this thing that we're making to reach literally everybody, not just a handful of rich degens. And now it's not even rich degens, it's rich institutions who can really afford to do some of the stuff on Ethereum or others. And I don't mean to say anything negative about Ethereum. It's just a fact. It's like, okay, well, now on some other EVM, and it's like, well, okay, well, if you build it on some other EVM, then you're just in a permanent migration process. So we made a hard decision, which is to say, all right, we're going to build on Bitcoin Cash, not because it's popular today, but because it actually meets our needs in the long term, and it's actually capable of reaching the whole world. That's where we're going to build.
Yeah, and this was before CashScript and Spaden. This was before the Bitcoin.com software development toolkit, Bitbox, disappeared. This was before a lot of things. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I feel like we need to toot our own horn better or something to attract people. That's one of our intents, right, with General Protocols, is to show people like, hey, look over here. You can actually work on a thing that scales to the world and you can make some money while you're doing it, while you're actually providing a very valuable service to people. So I hope we'll be able to get that message out more and show people that it works, and show people that they can build their commerce, build their business on this alternative system.
In that regard, maybe we want to share our settlement service revenue for the last 2 weeks. Just give people something tangible. Or maybe not.
Maybe not. It'll either be like overly impressive or underwhelming. I don't know which one it's gonna hit. But yeah, the growth is real. The growth of usage is truly real, right? Because general protocols isn't based on a speculative income. Our income doesn't matter, right? Well, I mean, of course it's related, but BCH price goes up or down doesn't have anything to do with uh, our income. Our income is based on services. So the services that we provide are just earning revenue as people use the protocols that we designed and so forth. So yeah, man, that has been growing like an insane amount. People are really using it, and we're actually running into the
I mean,
problem that there's not enough money in the pot for the liquidity provider who's providing liquidity to support everything. Like we're trying to grow it.
I mean, to be fair, the starting point was really low. So yeah, the
Yeah, that's the underwhelming part. That's the underwhelming part. Yeah. Yeah, but everything starts that way, right? Like if you were back in Ethereum in 2000, what was it, 16? I think when Vitalik got tired of BTC and got tired of the gatekeepers shrinking op return. Was it 2016? I'm sorry, my history is shit. But he got tired of BTC and the gatekeepers and people literally cutting him off at the knees for experimentation. And he was like, "All right, I'm going to do my own thing." And he went off and did Ethereum, right? Like at that time, nobody was making money on it. Nobody was actually using it to do something. It was just this kind of vague idea. The world computer, that brand has totally fallen off. But the people who did get in, they're like, hey, wait a minute, wait. We can actually use this to do some things. And those people who did that first profited greatly, right? They went from zero to not zero to very much more than zero. And the same thing, but orders of magnitude more is going to happen with BCH because we're actually literally aiming to support the whole world, commerce for anyone who wants to get on and have an alternative economy.
People are clearly sleeping on BCH and BCH Bull, but at the same time, we have to do a much better job of educating the world of what's available. And I think GP's really stepped up with all the Twitter spaces like this and the shorts on YouTube, etc. And I really appreciate the effort you guys are making to help get the word out there, as well as obviously creating products that are incredibly useful as well. But yeah, we definitely need to get in people's faces a bit more, advertise outside of our bubble a bit more, and that's all stuff that I'm hoping to contribute to, and I welcome anyone else out there to do as well. Going back to the original topic of today, people with these big ideas that just dump them in Telegram or whatever. If you have these big ideas, feel free to let the world know outside of the BCH bubble about the potential things that could be developed on BCH, and perhaps some entrepreneur will listen to your amazing idea and run with it and build it on BCH, because it is possible, because we have things that other chains don't have. So by all means, spread the word, spread the love. You got this.
Oh yeah. That's what we should do. Someone should start a group where we just like airdrop all the someone guys into like other ecosystems. They talk about how amazing all the possibilities. Right. Can you tell us quickly about BCHF? Yeah. Like, because for people who hear foundation and all this stuff we've been talking about, how to make things go forward, how to grow, how to actually establish a real foothold in standing as an alternative to the fiat standard. There's so much infinite amount of things to do. And foundations, for people who have been around a long time and have really been paying attention, should scare the shit out of you, right? Foundations are a very scary thing in a decentralized ecosystem because historically they've been really bad, like really, really bad. What is it that's different here? Like, what's going on with the foundation? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah, I agree. The word foundation is scary, and it should be scary because generally that means that it's, you know, a group of people who are the decision makers who, you know, direct the project, and you are beholden to them. And if you don't do what they say, then, you know, your pet project will never be incorporated into, etc. And if you need money for your thing, then you beg them and you make sure that they're happy, and et cetera, et cetera. All of these terrible things that happen again and again and again. And the BCHF is not that at all. Don't ask me for money. I don't have any to give you. I am not at all involved in deciding, you know, what is going to make it into consensus beyond, you know, supporting a chip. If somebody asks me if the BCHF has a stance on whatever chip, I'm more than welcome to look it over and approve or disapprove of it for, you know, valid reasons. But beyond that, what, you know, the BCHF is basically just a collection of someone's, and so far it's mostly me. I'm getting help from some people, but it's mostly me. And it's just picking up the pieces that fall through the cracks that no one else is doing, which are generally things that so far are, I don't want to say small, but not as massive as some other projects. So of course I'm doing the weekly news. I think it's really important for people to see what's going on in BCH, because we do have all of these things that are being developed and being worked on. And how are you going to discover these things? Well, you can go and join a BCH Reddit or BCH Telegram, but beyond that, you know, there's no real news coverage out there. And so I write the weekly news and I make the weekly news videos, and I publish them everywhere I can.
Can you say a little bit about everywhere you can? Because I think people don't appreciate that. Once I understood it, I was like, oh shit, that's a lot of work. Like anybody who's tried to do social media will be like, oh fuck, that's a lot.
Yeah, so of course, read.cash, Medium, PublishOX, Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Beach House. I'm probably forgetting some off the top of my head. Of course, YouTube, Odyssey, CoinMarketCap are probably all the big ones. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of the smaller.
And every one of these has like its own foibles and little details, and it's not like you can just push a button and do it. It's a lot of work to do all this stuff.
Yeah, it takes an entire day, which, you know, I'm sure there's probably a way to streamline it with APIs or something, but I'm not aware of how to do it. But even then, you know, it would be some process that would work for some things and not others. It's not like I can just make a spreadsheet and then it's just distributed. You know, everyone has to have, basically everyone has their own web interface, and even the image formats they accept are different. Some will accept WebM and some won't, and some will accept PNGs and some won't, and some will accept JPEG files and some will only accept JPG files.
Oh my God.
And, you know, on and on and on. So yeah, it's certainly an involved process, but one that I think is valuable. And of course, you know, I started off just editing the news for Satoshi's Angels, and then eventually the entire news became my project at SA, and then of course SA unfortunately decided to discontinue the news, but I thought it was valuable enough to keep doing it as a volunteer, and so that's just one of the things that is under the BCHF umbrella. Another thing that I've been working on recently is submitting BCH logos to all the different stock image websites, because if you look, go to Shutterstock or whatever and you type in BCH, it'll just give you standard gold Bitcoin images, or ancient orange with wings logos, or the bees tilted down, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to make sure that people who are interested in BCH have access to easy access. I mean, obviously people have access, like you can go to bch.info. There's a media pack in the footer there, but you'd have to know to go to bch.info to get that in the first place, if you would even assume to look there, right? So just making it easy for people to get correct branding. And by correct, I mean basically what's part of community consensus. Long ago, we decided that as a community, I don't mean like, a group of people got in a room and sat down and like, green is the the logo. Just organically over time, people use green.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah.
I still have my original orange BCH Gang T-shirt, because that's at the fork. That's what it was. And then some people were like, "Oh, we should be green," and green just steamrolled over orange. And yet out there, you will still find websites that use the orange logo. And so part of another thing that BCHF is doing is contacting all of these different crypto companies, and trying to get branding updated and correct. And it's not BCH ABC. It's all of these things, right, that need to be done, that fall, right, that falls through the cracks. These are all just things that I'm working on. I have a massive list of things that need to get done. I recently wrote a very large document that's on my own personal read.cache about things that I think the BCHF can and should and hopefully will work on. If you go to read.cache and search for Cheap Lightning, it'll be, I think, the last thing I wrote. I'm not sure, but feel free to give that a look and offer any suggestions that you may have as far as things that you think should be a priority, or things that perhaps I've not thought of, or other things like that. So does that answer your question? I seem to have gone off on a tangent.
You completely answered the question. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and explaining what you're working on and why it's valuable and why it's a different setup. I really appreciate what you're doing. Have you ever thought about creating a new forum software for BC?
What? A new forum software?
Yeah, you could call up Warren Togami and see what his thoughts are on.
No, I have not thought of that, but thank you.
Okay, yeah, okay, wait. Just to clarify for anybody who's listening, this is an old inside grift on BTC, right? The old Bitcoin Foundation, and they paid Warren Togami and the company that he worked for at the time, what was it?
It was for Bitcoin Cash Talk, right?
Thousands of BTC.
It was like 10,000 BTC or something. It was ridiculous.
10,000 BTC to make forum software, and they never actually delivered it. Like, they didn't actually deliver it. Oh my god, yeah. So foundations are just, my point was, the bad joke that I made was that foundations are famous for just being horrible grifters, and BCH even had a few that were pretty bad. So I really appreciate you doing good work out in the public, transparently showing your finances, showing what's going on, saying who's doing what. Really appreciate what you're working.
The other thing is that people might have reservations about the naming, but one thing that this is also something that I've learned over the years, which is that if there's something people or the general public expect to exist, eventually it will exist, and eventually it will exist, and it might or might not be in a form that you like. It's just like all the other things. And and I've definitely seen some foundations or associations just pop up out of nowhere and then attempt to claim authority. Like, okay, we are the association. Where do you come from? Yeah, don't ask about that, but we call the shots now. We talk to the media. They come interview us, and we make the decisions. We make the decisions. You just all those other nobodies. Please go away. That has happened. That has happened a lot. In a vacuum. So I think it's actually kind of nice that there is now a Bitcoin Cash Foundation, quote unquote foundation. There is a foundation. What does it do? Yeah, it hands out stickers and PNGs and make some news. That I find that kind of nice. That it occupies the namespace so that other foundations cannot exist. That calls itself that.
Well, that was
I
sorry.
actually had a discussion about using the Bitcoin Cash name in things on Twitter with George Donnelly the other day, and his argument was that we should be really careful not to use that name, so that whenever people see the name, they won't mistake it for being like authoritarian in some way. And my viewpoint is the opposite. Of course, we should be using the name. We should be using the name so much and so frivolously that whenever someone tries to use the names, you'll just laugh at them and it carries no authority at all. And so, yeah, handing out stickers is great. That's one step. Let's all be CEOs of Bitcoin Cash and let's just name everything Bitcoin Cash something.
I had a mildly humorous story back when BCHN was still being formed and the BCHN name didn't exist and so forth. The name that I was a proponent for was not BCHN, but a BCHN, like a BCHN, a BCH node, like as in one BCH. And everybody was like, "Shut up, John." I was like, "Okay, all right, sorry."
Oh, I like that.
Rebrand.
I like it too, right? ABCHN. Yeah, but maybe having ABC in the name was probably
Right.
not a good idea.
A bit confusing.
Yeah.
That was really
Yeah, don't hire me for marketing. Not my forte.
the name was actually sort of the beginning of this whole thing. Obviously, I have no personal desire to like try and decide consensus rules or anything like that. But at the same point, it's like when contacting these websites and things that have incorrect logos, etc., it's like they don't take me seriously because who are you, right? You're one guy. You're Cheap Lightning, right? Why are you telling me this? But I quickly encountered, websites would have some kind of form, and it would be like, please enter the email from the official representation of the coin, right?
And you're like, that's not how
Exactly.
this
That's
works.
exactly right. And it's like it's this just catch-22, right? So it's like, well, we're decentralized, so there is nobody who can speak on behalf of the network, but at the same time somebody has to speak on behalf of the network. So and so I just registered the domain, and that's it. I'm doing my part to try and make things better, and pick up the pieces that are lost in the wayside, and it's really quite simple. And if anybody thinks that you shouldn't use the name Bitcoin Cash for your thing, I disagree. I think you should absolutely use it as much as you want. However, BitcoinCashFoundation.org is unavailable, so please don't use that.
Is there anything more you can say? Maybe there isn't, but is there anything more you can say about that experience of the wider marketing and business landscape has no idea how to interact with a decentralized ecosystem? Like they're totally accustomed to not even totally accustomed to. It's not even a question that there's always an official
Right.
contact point. There's an official word. There's an official
Right.
representative. How have you seen it? Have you seen any more? Can you tell us any more
Yeah,
about
it's really
that?
rough. I think the BCHF Twitter account has like 900 followers right now, and talking to some of these people, it's like they won't even talk to me unless I have more than 1,000 followers, right? Like what? I don't just like that seems so like bizarre and silly, right? You're not
The official
right.
account.
The official account needs to have more than 1,000 followers to be uh, 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 even listened to, right? So it's like just bizarre. There's been a lot of things like that, right? Where it's just like, yep.
It is bizarre, but you have a tool to fix that, right? You can just send a cacher into it, and then you will automatically have more than 1,000 follower, and they'll get to listen to you. I mean, I don't think that caching is a great tool for many of the things that it was set out to be great for. I think it still needs to improve in a lot of ways before it works out well and is financially viable for that. But if you just need followers, it's a great tool to get yourself followers.
I'm opposed to doing it myself. If anyone else wants to do that, by all means, go right ahead. But I'm much more interested in doing things organically, which to my own detriment. I don't really like fake stuff. But obviously, I can't stop anyone from doing it. So if you do, somebody's already cache rained on the BCHF account once, I think.
Won't someone rid me of this pesky low follower count?
But that was also the problem with Reddit as well, right? So the BCHF Reddit account and subreddit has been axed. And then, of course, even just starting with Reddit, right? You can't post unless you have karma. But how do you get karma unless you're allowed to post? And it's just like go to ask Reddit and like, hey guys, what coins do you like? It's a lot of these things are just so silly, but it's all hoops you have to jump through if you want to play the game, which I don't enjoy doing, but I understand is something you have to do. And I guess maybe cache raining is just another one of those things that I don't want to do that maybe I have to do to get a little bit.
I'll just say that I actually do respect you for not wanting to do that. I don't like doing it either, but I was taking a programmatic approach and like, what's the actual world we're living in, and how do I make that world work?
Right. Yes, I think a perfect example is I don't like TikTok at all. I think it's a horrible thing for humanity. But the BCHF does have an account and does post the news there every week. So follow me on TikTok. Hey,
Jesus Christ!
Slap like,
right. Well, if you search Bitcoin Cash on TikTok, you'll find almost no content, and what you do find will be just TA bros, and it's not at all valuable. So it takes a few seconds to cross post to TikTok. So I why not? Why not do it? Something else I was going to say about the larger sort of marketing thing. What was it? What was your original question, John? I had something else to say.
Do you like turtles?
I like turtles.
I don't remember.
Overall experience marketing.
Yeah. It was just about the reality of what does it mean for a decentralized ecosystem to represent itself, and how does that even work?
It's really bizarre. It's really bizarre.
It's just basically fitting a square peg in a round hole. You just got to find a way to.
Which is the point of this whole endeavor of mine, right? And also clawing back some at some of these stock image websites. It's like I have the Bitcoin Cash account, so nobody can post and pretend to be BCH, right? A lot of handles are just gone, like at Bitcoin Cash at various places are dead. I think Twitter is one of them. At Bitcoin Cash is just a banned account, and if I can eventually get, and that's what I was going to say. So yeah, I remember now. So yeah, this week, General Protocols was very kind to endorse the BCHF, and I think for a lot of websites like CoinMarketCap or whatever, having endorsements from people in the ecosystem are really powerful. And by endorsing the BCHF, obviously you're not saying like the BCHF gets to decide the future of the chain. No, it's basically you're just saying that you support the efforts that we're doing, which are basically forever. No, not even forever, right? So you're allowed to withdraw it at any time.
Yeah.
And so, like the chip process, like the more people who think that what the BCHF is doing is valuable and are willing to put their support behind the BCHF, the more legitimate the organization becomes, right? So obviously, if I'm doing terrible things and you don't like what I'm doing, you withdraw your support, and then my significance, my power is diminished, which is absolutely the way it should be. So hopefully over time, more people in the BCH ecosystem will see what I'm doing, think it's good, and want to put their name and their support and their power behind it. And then, of course, that just builds legitimacy. And then people in the greater crypto world who are perhaps not tuned into what's going on in BCH will listen to what I have to say. When I say like, hey, you have to update your node because the upgrade's happening in May. But as it is now, of course, like, well, why would I listen to you? Who are you? Right. And so, yeah, every little bit of endorsement and encouragement helps a lot. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. Let me ask a harder question. We didn't prepare this, so no. I hope this isn't a ugly one, but right, the question that many people ask when approached with anything about Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin whatever is, what's your angle? What's your incentive? What do you get out of this? Which is anybody who's ever been involved in adoption has run into this, where you're just like, hey, there's this thing that's really important to me. You should really consider it. We're trying to find a way to run an alternative economy on a different foundation instead of fiat. And they're like, why are you telling me this? Like, what's in it for you? It's like,
and
this is important.
and please do not
right?
make a Luke thing of this, where you sit silent for like 40 seconds and then ask the question again and sit silent for 40 seconds more.
It's interesting technology.
It's interesting technology. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, and then from the flip side, the question is somebody who's thinking about putting social capital into what you're doing by saying, yeah, this is a good thing, you should support it, or people should listen to you. Why would they do that? Because there's been a limitless number of things that people start up and then they die because they weren't sustainable. Right. So what's in it for you? How does this work for you?
I think this.
Should we just pump BCH price so that you're just like, whatever?
Well, that works. Yeah, if you guys could just turn up the price knob to 11, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, it's all the things that I've been saying today and since 2011. I'm here because I want to make the world a better place. It's really that simple. This is something I can do, which I believe will help propel mankind, right? And it really is that simple. It's that basic. It's one small thing I can do, and maybe it is not small. We'll find out in 50 years, right? But it's one thing that I can do today, which makes a difference. And I think, there's a lot. Locally, there's a lot of things that you can do which will help your local community, right? You can pick up trash, and you can volunteer at a shelter or at a language course if you speak more than one language or whatever. There's a lot of local things you can do that will help people locally. There's not a lot of things that people could do that will actually help the world, humanity, right? And I believe that BCH is absolutely the best way to propel humankind to our next stage, whatever that is. And so if you believe in sort of the philosophy of BCH and you want BCH to succeed, well, please do help in any way you can. And that's my motivation, right? I want to make the world a better place. Obviously, if that means that the price goes up too, I would absolutely love that. But that's not even number 2 on the list. Probably it's down there, right? So that's my motivation. What was the other part of the question?
Well, let me, instead of going back, let me
Okay.
go forward a little bit. So let me turn that around and push back and say, okay, so
Yep.
then if that's the case, that's excellent. That's great. But then you also have to assume that you are competent enough to run a side job or something else that sustains you so that you can
Yep.
eat and sleep, or at least one of
Yep.
those two, and be all right. Because if you can't, then the whole thing that you're doing will fall apart, right? So how do you convince people that you're going to be all right, or that you're going to make this sustainable? How does that part work? The food and sleep
Okay.
part.
Well, I do have other sources of income. So for now, I'm as much as I like to joke about it, I'm not only eating hot dogs and ramen. I do actually get to eat pizza and sometimes steak. So yeah,
Pizza?
yes,
What?
it's a wonderful thing. There's a very famous story about a man who bought pizza with Bigfoot. So yes, the BCHF is a volunteer effort for now. Obviously, people have donated. I think the total is about $1,000 right now. I haven't checked today, but it's about $1,000, I think. Obviously, that's for 6 months' work. It's not fantastic. Certainly not enough to survive even on ramen. So this is mostly a volunteer effort for now. Obviously, I don't look at the BCHF as my job as far as like how I'm getting money to survive. That may change in the future, depending on how the scope of the project changes, how big I want to make things, if possible. And if possible, turning it into a self-sustaining enterprise by offering some services such as community moderation or social media management, etc., are all things that are on the table that I'm considering, as well as merchandising and et cetera, et cetera. Nothing has been decided yet. It's really going to.
Wait! I decided something
Yes.
just now. If you ever offer a moderation service, it has to be called Evil Mod X. That has to be a name.
As amusing as I would like that to be, and by all means, check out my read.cash post, which references Evil Mod X. I think that would be counterproductive. I think it's already been decided as the Mod Squad. Yeah.
You can't tell me what to call
I mean, I can name it whatever I want. You can call it whatever you want, but I can name it whatever I want. And maybe your name will stick, but that's fine as long as people get it.
We've been forced to rebrand by this.
Whatever, if it's successful enough and people call it Evil Mod X Squad or whatever, then I'll run with it. That's fine with me. Yeah, it's really about scale. So as long as it stays at the current size it is right now, it's manageable by one person. If it's going to grow, it's going to need more people, and it's certainly going to need funding, which is it gets really prickly really fast because. As Sayoshi was asking me on the Casual BCH podcast, well, is this going to be the cheapy slush fund? And how do I know you're not just going to run away with all the cash? And Yeah, these are all
Like, have you ever seen cats? How do they carry cash? What do you think?
these are all like really important, really prickly, really serious issues.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and there's definitely ways that it can be structured, which will alleviate some of that stress. And of course, I'd like to think, like, and most people who've been in the space for any number of years, is that I've accumulated enough proof of work that people have a little bit of confidence that I'm not just going to disappear tomorrow and that it's all going to fall apart. And one thing that I'm currently in the process of setting up as well is that access to all of these accounts will not die with me. All of these accounts will be accessible by a trusted third party in the event of my untimely demise or incapacitation. So yeah, I definitely don't want my work to live and die with me. I'd love for it to expand, but if it doesn't, well, then there's still little nibbles of things that someone needs to do that I'm happy to volunteer to do for my own personal motivation, which is not financial. It's just trying to make the world a better place. Does that answer your question?
That answers it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate what you do, and that's why GP endorses what you're working on, because I think we understand where you're coming from, where you're going, and the value of it. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
And with that, we've been on here for 2 hours, and we could probably talk a lot longer, but let's cut it off here and say a Happy New Year to everyone. You name Jonathan. Did you guys want to throw some words out before we enter the new year?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, nothing special. Just looking forward to a great 2024.
Tell us how warm it is over there, Jonathan.
It's like -15. It's not fun. Stop teasing me.
Oh my God.
Did you say 15 or 50?
-15, not 50.
Oh, okay.
50 will be like Antarctica or something.
Right?
Oh my God. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's the same thing.
No, it's not. If you've ever felt below 20, you'll know it's different.
Oh my God. That doesn't exist. I choose to believe that doesn't exist. All right. Well, Happy New Year's, everyone. And
thanks for having me on.
Great, positive, constructive, confident move into the new year while still being careful and making things happen. Thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll enjoy 2024 along with you. Take care, everyone.